Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kentucky Go Digital Live. We are in our third season, but this is the first episode of Kentucky Go Digital NTI special series. This is definitely a time of the unknown. However, it has been amazing and inspiring to see schools and districts leading. Over the weekend, everyone's been connecting and sharing tons of resources, and really is what actually sparked the need and the want for this show this week. My name is Courtney Gerasta, and I'm looking forward to learning from our special guests that we'll be sharing today. We have James Allen, the school library lead and digital learning coach for KDE, and Brandon Blackburn, Pikeville Independent co-DTC and KISTI president. We also have a panel of wonderful people who are here to share and learn as well. We have Elaine Abernathy, who is a digital innovation leader for JCPS. We have Heather Worrell, executive administrator of digital innovation for JCPS. Amy Buss, an instructional technology coordinator at Warren County Schools. Dana Dowdy, digital learning coach for Graves County Schools. Danielle Washburn, a digital innovation leader at Jefferson County Public Schools. And what's really, really nice is David Cook has stopped by to be on our panel. He is the Director of Innovation and Partner Engagement at KDE. We are so glad to have everyone with us today, and to all the people that have decided to join in or watch at a later time. It's so good to see you all. Elaine, she is going to be along with a few others on the YouTube Live. So if you have a question and you're watching and you want to ask it, you can ask in the comment section. And when you do, if something happens you're not able to, please log in to your YouTube Live so you'll be able to have that availability so you can ask questions. That's what this is all about, is connecting and just helping everyone across the state in this unknown time. All right, I think it's time for us to be able to hear from our wonderful leaders. Can we start out with James Allen and everything you are creating on that digital learning team with KDE?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I have a few slides I'm going to go through. I think first, I just want to say it's obviously a bizarre time for really everyone, probably the whole world, really. We are not here to make you feel panicked or like you've got to be doing a certain thing. We are just here to help you and support you. So this is just a reminder up front. Hopefully someone will remind everyone at the end. If you have questions, if there's not somebody you have locally you can contact, we are all open to answering your questions, helping you out. I've seen tons of Facebook, what do you call it? They're not retweets on Facebook. I don't know what that is. Like copying and pasting of, where teachers are just there to help parents who are maybe not feeling super confident in what's going on. So just know that we're all here to help you out, and that's it. There's no pressure, nothing like that. So, Elaine, on slide 4, I think. Yeah, we've put together our digital learning team. Marty Park, Laura Raganas, Ben Maynard, and Jeff Cebulski have put together a Wakelet. And it's not all encompassing or anything like that, but it's a good 40, 50 resources that may help you or your school out, your teachers out, your students out. There are lots of links to resources where creators of content, even authors and companies like Scholastic, are providing resources above and beyond what they normally do for free for students who are having to be, they're at home learning instead of at school. So just check out the links in that Wakelet. We've also, on slide 5 today, put together, if you're new to online learning or online, even what we're doing right here today, like this webcast, if you're new to Google Meet or Microsoft Teams, we have this picture on slide 5 that yes, it's up on the screen. Sorry about that. It's in the Wakelet, so you can share that out to all of your teachers or whoever needs it. It's just kind of the things we all learned from doing this 4 or 5 times, and we're just giving you the tips ahead of time, like muting your mic, especially because softwares try to pick up who's talking, and if there's some background noise, it kind of messes things up a little bit. Just some tips to check out. And the next slide, this is kind of a big, this is just a resource out there that already exists. It's existed for a long time. We have STLP, which are shared under kind of a Creative Commons license, where you can take these activities and lessons and ideas for your students and turn them into whatever you need for your own classroom. So especially the online learning projects that Jeff has curated in this, we call it the super sheet. It's the STLP. It pretty much has all of the links there that you need for anything you can think of. It's got rubrics that are already created so you can help score projects from your students, and just use any of those as you see fit. And then I think the next slide, that just shows kind of when you're saying there's tons of links inside of this thing where it says view rubric, you can see what's expected in each of those categories. For example, the Minecraft one we put together for this STLP, which sadly is probably not going to happen in person, but we'll figure all that out in the coming weeks. Like the kids are just asked to research Mars and do their own research, come up with what would be required to live on the planet of Mars, and then demonstrate that learning that they have taken in through the research, and then create that inside of Minecraft and then share that with us. So we've got some videos to review. I'm excited about that. That's just one example, but there are tons of rubrics in there that I feel like can be completed at home. Students can do this. The next slide is KYVL. This is kind of like breaking news. I feel super excited to announce this. KYVL is working on kind of, I don't want to say it's a done deal, but they're working on a way to provide KYVL access to all K-12 students in the state, whether your district or public library subscribes or not, which is a big deal because KYVL it's a Kentucky Virtual Library. It's a consortium of people coming together to provide tons of databases, online resources that are vetted, and just awesome things that
That's a huge deal. You are exactly right. Like
I'm underselling it, I know.
In the library world have used KYVL for years. I know Amy's a former librarian, and a lot of us who've been in this digital tool business, like we really value KYVL. So did I hear you say that you guys are working to offer it free for all Kentucky K-12 students? I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
I know. I probably should do a backflip or something, I feel like. But and we don't, especially in public library land, you can, if you have a public library card, you may already have access to KYVL where you live, even if your school does not participate in the program. But we're working on, at least until the end of the school year, that's kind of our generic broad goal, is to have that access to the end of the school year for every K-12 student. And that includes private schools. So we're working on that too. I can't say that we're quite there for the college level yet, but at least K through 12, whether you're public or private or homeschooled, whatever you are, you're going to be able to access these resources online, which is a big collaboration between CPE and KDE and just all of the different partners that kind of enter into that atmosphere. And if you don't know much about KYVL, it has this, I feel like we all expect databases like EBSCO with articles, but it also has Britannica Learning, which is an online encyclopedia that has tons of resources. There are also, this is the biggest one for me, there are magazines, hundreds of magazines that are available in digital format that your teachers and students can access with KYVL access. So I don't have specifics for you, just be looking out in social media, emails from me, emails from, just your regular kind of methods of communicating, and we'll give you more resources on how to access that once we get it going. But I'm hopeful that will be a thing very shortly. And then just kind of randomly, I saw a tweet today about Epoch Books, which is an online ebook format. And their general business model is it's always free for schools, but it's during the school day at school where it's free. And then they hope that parents subscribe on their own for access at home for when kids are not at school. But if you're a teacher and you're already have an account with Epoch, or you create an account with Epoch from Epoch Education, they are providing resources to all of their books for students, even when they're at home and not just at school. So that's a big deal too, because they have thousands and thousands of ebooks, digital audiobooks, read aloud books, videos. And I don't have a slide for this, but it kind of reminds me of PBS Learning Media, which is another big partner we have with KDE and Castle and all the different organizations. Their products are always free. You can go to just KET Education or PBS Learning Media. Tons of resources teachers can use to share with their students, with fellow teachers. Just check out those two resources for sure.
James, I'm going to interrupt you. With Epoch, we use it a lot at our house, and it has not only books that kids can read, but it's important to say that it has books that kids can have read to them. And they're not just simple books at lower level. There are also chapter books, so it's pretty neat. And there are quizzes embedded in there as well that students can take to help with comprehension. So it's really a great app. I use it on a regular basis, and it's on multiple platforms, so you can use it on a computer as well as an iPad.
Yeah, really any internet accessible device. And I would say it's probably geared towards K through 8. There's not a ton of high school level stuff, but definitely KYVL and PBS Learning Media, there are tons of resources for your those upper grade levels.
Hey, James, this is David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I wanted to say, we sent this out to all superintendents, but an additional piece that KET, as a great partner that we have, and David is aware of this, David Couch is aware of this, they have created an email address specifically called NTI@ket.org.
Nice.
So if you specifically want to talk about stuff for these days, they have provided us with an additional support in addition to all the other resources.
That's awesome, because KET's been a partner forever, not just with KDE, but just librarians, digital learning coaches, all that space. It's just super important during these crazy days that we're having. But this is my advice for, I'm sorry, go ahead, Amy, sorry.
This is a really good time to really do a shout out for KET and all the support that they've been providing the digital learning coaches, especially with their support, sending them to KISTI and all the other things with PBS Learning Media, and just the many ways that they've been supporting us all along. So just wanted to give them a shout out.
And this is just a kind of more of a personal thing for me, not necessarily a KDE message or anything like that, but just be respectful of authors and creators and content creators out there who are creating content and giving it away for free, like sometimes outside of what they're allowed to do even. But sometimes I worry when I see some of these people using this time as an excuse to just kind of forget about copyright and those kinds of things. It's not that authors or creators hate children. They obviously love children, but this is how they make a living. This is how they support their families. Just think about those people when you're sharing things out. Make sure if you do decide to share something that it's only going to your specific audience, you're not sharing it to the entire world or those kinds of things. Also, on a lighter note, use some of this extra time to explore Twitter. I know I feel like a broken record sometimes, but if you're an educator and not on Twitter, you need to be there because you can learn so many things. There's so much free content, free professional learning that you can take advantage of. I'm part of STLP, which is the librarians' professional learning network for ISTE, which is the national kind of education technology association. So use this time and don't wait till you feel like you're a master of it. Use this time to play around with it. Let your students have some choice in what they create for you and share with you. Use this time because we're not wasting it on hallway time or lunchtime or all of the other things that we have to, like just get into the classroom. Use this. Unfortunately, I'm not making light of the virus or anything, but just use this extra time to explore some things that you can do yourself and with your students.
I have a question, James. I know that this resource has a lot of great resources in it. How can we find the resource? So if I'm watching it, where can I find what you all have worked so hard on? And also, what are some things that are built into it? Is there any way you could like walk us through just so we could see? Because I know there's a lot within it, and it's all useful.
So it looks very Pinteresty right now. There's kind of like, you can see these individual resources out here that kind of spread around. But you'll notice as I scroll, you can't scroll forever. There's about 40 or 50 separate individual items. We're kind of working as we go, just like you all are in your schools and your school districts, on providing these resources. And there's not an awesome way to, they're not divided up in different content areas or anything like that right now, but pretty much all of these links will apply to any educator, K through 12. Even if it's not specifically your content area or your grade level, you're going to get ideas from the links that you see in this. We're working on creating perhaps a resource that's a little bit more, some options for filtering and searching and those kinds of things. So that's pretty much just kind of look through those, add them to your own resources. I was talking to some people earlier today. In your own schools, you have school librarians, you have digital learning coaches who already exist within that system, and they've already been sharing things out with you before this entire crisis thing has kind of taken shape. So use the methods that you already have. Like, just for example, in my last school, my kids knew to go to our library website to get all the resources they would need for a project. So there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Just use some of the resources we're sharing and add to what you have, or you may have things we don't have and let us know. That's cool too. We'll add them for everyone else.
Yeah, and James, as we're talking about creating resources for other schools, I just want to give a shout out to everyone that's joining us. We have Brandy New from Hardin County. We also have Jim Masters from Franklin County Schools, Kelly McDaniel, Chris Lacey, and Allison Gregory, also Jody Rose. So thank you all for joining us and tuning in to learning about all of the awesome things that you're providing us.
James, I was looking through the Wakelet, and I know, so if people look at, these sources, I was looking at several districts. They all have links and some different things, but I've looked at, I was able to take some time and dive into the link that you all put on from Murray Independent. And I know Whitney York, I think, is it Michelle Morgan is their digital learning coach. Is that right? And they were, what they put on their site, some how-to videos, so that, and I know through Kentucky Go Digital and all kinds of different platforms, you're going to see how-to videos, but I think what's really powerful, what the digital learning team did, is create the Wakelet, that if you can dive a little bit deeper in some of those videos are already created. We will be having shows throughout this week, next week, for question and answer and live, and you can interact. But if you can dive into that Wakelet and look at, for an example, Murray Independent, it has the how-to videos and the slides, and it goes through step by step. So that district right now, or let's say you're a teacher that you may not have a digital learning coach or someone that right off the bat who to contact, that's an easy way to have something at your fingertips, and it's a Kentucky school specific product.
And I think it's also important to know, like, when is it okay to let somebody else explain something versus you doing that yourself as a teacher. Like, if we had to recreate every single thing a teacher does during the day, we just can't physically do that. Like, it's just not possible. But being able to take some of these resources and combine that with your own personalized messages to your students will make a big difference. And hopefully, I would think, kind of take some of the stress off of teachers and let them focus more on individual questions they're getting from their parents and their students.
Hey, James and Courtney, I just wanted to give a shout out. Terri Stice is tuning in to this episode, and anyone that's been around in this ed tech business knows that she is legendary. So shout out. Thanks to you, Terri, for joining us. Also, Allison Gregory, our friend out there in Graves County, has a question for you, James. She said, why Wakelet and not Padlet?
That's an awesome question. I think Wakelet to me is kind of it's very similar to Pinterest. You know, there's a Chrome extension. You can just add resources as we go. It's really easy to share them out. It's easy for people to collaborate on them, but so is Padlet. So we're just showcasing one way that you can curate these resources. There's really not a right or wrong answer. If you're more comfortable with Padlet, I've used it before. It's awesome. So.
Hey, I have a little comment piggybacking off of what you said about copyright. I've had teachers, contact me today and ask, I really want to be able to read this book to my kids that we've started. So I've actually been able to reach out on Twitter to a lot of these authors, and they've given permission to let them do screencasts for their classes. So it's possible to make that happen. You just have to kind of make that contact with them.
I think asking permission is awesome. So I emailed somebody else today. I forget who it was, but I kind of put it in order. And this is James Allen talking, not KDE. Sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to make that distinction or not. But to me, it's like number one, the best thing to do is use products they've already created themselves, the authors or publishers that they've already published and that are out there. Two, you would ask permission. And if you get permission, that's awesome. You can go by their guidelines. And then three, you consider just regular fair use laws. How are you affecting the market value of this content? If you're restricting it where only 20 people in your classroom can see it, I feel like that's different than just publishing it blindly to YouTube and letting it be out there to the entire world to download and use. So I think just kind of following those steps would be best practice. And that's just James Allen best practice, not copyright lawyer James Allen. Just be respectful.
Also, this is actually a perfect time to model and have these digital citizenship discussions.
Oh, for sure.
Discussions. This is the most authentic setting for having those discussions. So I think this gives educators that prime opportunity, that teachable moment, and it just really sets us up for having those conversations. So encourage teachers to definitely reach out and get permission, but also tell your students the process that you went through to be able to read a book to them. I contacted the author, I contacted the publisher. I think that's a prime opportunity that we are blessed to be able to have at this moment.
And I almost put, Amy, that's perfect. I almost put a slide in about this. If you could use this time, especially teachers are creating content for their students. We know that. They're going to be doing that. They're going to be making slides. They're going to be making Google Earth creations. They're going to be doing stuff in Canva and all these different places. If you could use this time and cite your sources in your creations the same way you would expect your students to, that is perfect, because it's easy for us to get lazy, as easy as technology is. Just use this little bit of extra time to show students, hey, kids, I want you to learn about this, but this is not my information I'm sharing with you. It's this person's information. It's this photographer. It's this musician. Put all of those things in so your kids can see that you're respecting other people's work.
And to put in another plug for something that was created, the digital driver's license, I know that if people have not taken that, and this is just not for kids, it's for adults too. It's a good time that you've got a little bit of time to work with it as well.
Any other questions I can help with? If you don't have them now, you can email us, you can find us on Twitter, the rest of our team, field staff team. Anybody at KDE will help you find the right person to reach out to.
One of my teammates, Joey Rose, he had a good point about, you have so many districts that have been doing NTI for a while, and they have all these resources. And, this is kind of their way of life. And, communicating, networking, and teaming up with people that have been doing it, that are showcasing their skills on the Wakelet by something they've created has been really powerful. And then you have people that have not been doing NTI, but they have dug in, and literally in a week, they have created amazing resources that I know. Amy Buss at Kissy, we connected. She led me to Heather, and she was like, Heather and the choice boards. And it's just all about leaning on each other and staying together. So I just want to throw that in there. And next, I want to also talk about the being together. We were all together last week, or most of us were. And I wanted to say a big thank you to the entire Kissy board, and especially Brandon Blackburn. A year of working, and everyone has full-time jobs. and you all put together an amazing conference that we were in it to win it, right?
We were.
Do you want to say a little bit about it?
Yes, please. First, I mean, what else can I say? But thank you, and what a testament to the value that the folks throughout Kentucky and neighboring states that they place on this conference. And what spoke even more to me is the value that we put in each other. The fact that we were all gathering together and people were making it a mission to be there, I think really shows how much we care for one another, how much we respect one another, and how much we know we can learn from each other because we got there. I mean, we had enough information to where at that time you could probably made an excuse not to come in your district, and other people would have probably been like, yeah, hey, we get it. But if you can see on the screen there, I mean, we had 1,671 attendees come. That's 89% of the folks that registered. Now, the record is just shy of 1,900, I believe, in terms of attendees. That's not necessarily including some of our vendor partners, keynote speakers, and maybe some of our board members. So we may have been on pace to have a record year. And you can see the breakout there in the folks that came. And what I love about this is that look at that biggest number, teachers. Teachers coming to a technical conference, or what we consider a technology-centric conference. And I just am overwhelmed by it. It's moving to me. It just, I just think people are getting it. And it wouldn't have been accomplished without a great team. It wouldn't have been accomplished without all the people throughout the state, KDE and KETS and that leadership, our board. I see a couple of folks there. Terri Stice was one of our featured voices a year ago. I see Neil Arnett from Pikeville and our Region 8 representative. Shout out to those folks. But I'm just so thankful, and thank you all for being understanding and patient through the whole thing. But let's talk a little bit about what
Well, just to interrupt you, I would add those 180 something librarians too to your teacher count, and probably a lot of your DLCs too.
Yeah,
even though they're kind of subcategorized out there. I mean, that's a lot of teachers.
That is, and that's awesome. I mean, like I said, it gets me in the feels. But you know what can we still do for you guys? Well, as other people have spoken about already, if you go on Twitter or social media outlets and you start looking around, you're going to see probably more resources right now than you could ever imagine. And I mean, I've even went myself and just did hashtag NTI and hashtag, whatever I see some of my choice folks are using right now. But hopefully we connected you to some folks that really just made you think that, wow, I would really love to learn more about what they're doing, what they have to offer. And if you have the app, you can go in there and you can look for those folks. And I use Casey Bell for a great example because she is so active on social media and has a great resource. And she was there as one of our keynote speakers. And you can see there, I mean, there's email, website, and Twitter, and her website address all right there. So there's no looking for it, and that's with anybody who put that information in there. So we're going to make sure that we get the word out to everybody that was in attendance, everybody that was speaking, our keynotes, to say, hey, we know you might have been thinking about doing this at some point in time, but could you maybe expedite it, get it up there so people can go ahead and be looking and connecting now? Much like my good friend Nicole Bauer, who in her presentation already uploaded her handouts. And so you have that information available. So if you missed a session, you loved the session and wish you could get more, and it has some great resources in there, it's in the app. And maybe you don't have a device that maybe it works for, or you didn't get the app. I included a bit.ly to the HTML5 version of the app as well. So you can get it on your computer from any web browser. And so it works like a charm, and it's just like being on the app, just a little bit different experience, but fairly similar all in all. But I mean, together we're better, and we hope that we've helped you guys network and connect with other people, and we'll be continuing to reach out. I know we have some things that typically happen in the closing ceremony, the things that typically happen throughout the conference that didn't get to happen. So just be on the lookout, because KISTI is still there for you, and all those folks that were in attendance and that are maybe throughout the Twitterverse and social media, they're there for you too, and we're going to do our best to connect each other together.
Well, we appreciate it. Kissy plays an important role in all of our, I guess, edu walks, I guess you could say, on how we grow and get better. And we appreciate you leading the way, along with all the people that had a hand in it, that were late night setting up and working. Amy, was there a link? I know I got a little message there. Was there a link that you want to share, or Heather?
No, I think David Cook had a link that he just shared with us, and we wanted to hear more from him about that link.
I want to hear more from David too. David, you have the coolest title. You are the Director of Innovation. Do you care to, for KDE, what do you do? And this is awesome, right?
Well, I try to stay out of people like James's way and your all's way. That's honestly, I'm kind of joking, but that's the idea. Is my job is to clear things out so people can do NTI and can do digital learning and not have policy barriers that stand in their way. I usually either get the response that you just had of, wow, that's cool, or what the heck does that mean? I think that's what I just said is the best way to describe it. Is as a state agency, we're not on the front lines as many of you all are doing this work. We're just trying to make sure you can do this work. I do want to say that everybody, it's easy to get to our division webpage where NTI, all the official documentation. There's the page. I'm really happy to report we're still, little caveat, we're still waiting on about 5 or 6 applications to come in to us for NTI. But when we get those, we'll have all 172 districts participating in the program because of COVID-19. They're either were the 83 that were already participating or the 89 that are now joining us. So there's a lot of folks, as you mentioned, that could use some assistance from a neighboring district that's already doing the program. I'm just really excited because I think so many teachers in this state are already doing a lot of this work. There's just been reasons why their district wouldn't jump on board. And I know there's still going to be a lot of bumps in the road. To Brandon's point, we have a hashtag at the state level, and I want everybody to know it because I want, when you share those great stories, I want us to be able to share them across the state. So it's simply MyNTIKY. MyNTIKY. That is also our Twitter handle, MyNTIKY. So both of those things are available. Just whenever you share a post, just pop that hashtag on for us if you can. That would be great. So we can know across the state what everybody's talking about. I think I've done more tweeting in the last 48 hours than I've done answering questions about NTI. But we're here for everybody to make sure they understand what's possible and what's not. And kind of to James's permission rather than forgiveness, or forgiveness rather than permission idea. I'm with you, James. We're good. But I think that's just in general, as the society, we're having to be a little more flexible. And we're not going to be doing things exactly by the book as we move through this emergency time. We're going to try to be much more on the spot, ready to go, helping you with the things you need to get done, and providing resource and support, whichever we need. And if there's any questions that any of you all on the panel have, or anybody else, I'd be glad to answer them.
Well, you were speaking of Twitter. I know this is not exactly related, but I think we still have a lot of educators out there who are hesitant to be on there, or really hesitant to be on social media at all. But if you've not tried it, it's hard to explain how easily and quickly you can get ideas from other people out there. It breaks down so many barriers that and I get it. I mean, I did so many Twitter chats where I didn't even speak. I didn't tweet out or anything. But it definitely has changed my career as an educator. And I feel like if we could make anything good happen out of this situation is get more teachers connected in that way.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that statement. Twitter really has changed my life in my education world, because I've met so many people through Twitter that I would not have met otherwise. And I just feel like it has made me a better educator.
I will say real quickly, I think the reason probably a lot of districts didn't do NTI before probably didn't have as much to do with the instructional concerns they might have had. There's always that group that wants to say, well, what are kids going to learn on an NTI day? And my response, of course, as the guy who has to deal with it is, well, actually, NTI days are the only days in a calendar where anybody knows what kids learn, because you're required to turn in that stuff to us. Teachers individually know what their kids did, but they don't have to report it like we do on NTI days. So learning really happens on NTI days, and I can prove it. I know it happens on all the other days too, but don't ever get me in an argument about whether or not NTI is our learning days, because I got my ammunition in my back pocket to say they are. And I just think this is an opportunity that we have, sadly enough, because of the virus, but I think a lot of districts are going to realize the power of digital and blended learning that didn't really understand it before. And if we all support each other in the right ways, this could be a turning point in our state for how kids learn and how kids are provided opportunities. And we've taken away one of the barriers everybody was really always freaking out about NTI was not an instructional one at all. It was about how are kids going to get fed, and that's gone. So that barrier no longer exists, and people are going to get their meals out to their kids all across their districts. And we hope that that's not just for this emergency period, but can be that way from here on out. So anyway, I'll stop.
Thank you so much for showing that, because that's a tall task to go through and coach people on how to be ready and to know that they are what they're turning in. I mean, it's almost like your Oz behind, everything, making it happen. Danielle, were you going to say something? I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay. I was just going to say that I was looking through Twitter on the hashtag MyNTIKY, and it is amazing, all of the awesome things that I'm seeing on there, ranging from cafeteria workers to joining an interactive art class. It's just, you can receive a lot of resources just by going to that hashtag.
And I just want to say again before we go that we're not going to be bombarding you with emails every day on like things that we want you to do, but don't take that lack of email or contact that you can't contact us. Like, you're not just KDE, but any state digital learning leader, really. Just be ready to reach out. Don't just sit and stew with questions you might have.
That's a great point. I know I want to give a shout out to Matt Jury on the hashtag for the MyNTI Kentucky. He plugged it in earlier to our field service team and the field staff team. We discussed today about how we don't want to be too much. We don't want to be calling you all the time, asking you how you are. We know you're doing great, but if you need help, reach out. Reach out to the field service staff, the digital learning team, and your leaders in your districts. Thank you all so much for presenting. Heather, do you want to say some closing remarks before we jump off and get ready?
Sure. James, Brandon, and David, thank you so much for sharing with us today. It's times like these that all educators across Kentucky really need to connect and stick together the most. So our next show is tomorrow and features Brandy New from Hardin County and Stephanie Wade from Boyle County. And they're going to be sharing how their districts are using Google Meet. And I don't know about you guys, but Google Meet has been all abuzz from people recently asking for support. And we actually tweeted out a Google Meet video today through the Kentucky Go Digital account that Brandy had made. But real quick, let's take a look at the rest of this week's lineup. Today we had James and Brandon and David Cook on to talk about just the overall kickoff resources to launch our NTI strategy week. Tomorrow we have that episode at noon on Google Meet. Then Wednesday at 11, we have Stella and Rosalind sharing Screencastify and Edpuzzle for NTI strategy. And then on Thursday at 11, we have Dana Pearsall sharing on Cami, which I'm not so sure what that one is. So I'm excited to learn from her on Thursday. Then a little sneak peek. Courtney's been working on some of next week's lineup as well with some of these Kentucky rock stars. So we have, whoa, sorry for the cat in the background. We have principals and digital learning coaches and district technology leaders, etc., that we have in store from across Kentucky this week and next on our NTI support series. So don't forget that you can create and connect all of your good ideas to that NTI.
My NTI KY.
My NTI KY. We need to start using that in conjunction with Kentucky Go Digital and Kentucky DLC. Lots of great hashtags and people sharing good ideas across the state. So don't forget to use those hashtags. Don't forget that you can receive on-demand video support by subscribing to Kentucky Go Digital Live. And if we get through all this madness, we're hoping at some point we're going to announce our summer Kentucky Go Digital Regional Tour. Fingers crossed that actually happens. So stay tuned. So until next time, thanks everyone. We'll see you.